In Cookout Victory Lane, only one of them will be able to lay claim to that badge of honor. And all of the drivers now focus forward, beautifully assembled, beautifully painted, many throwback schemes throughout this 30-car field, getting set to rocket around this just under 0.4 of a mile oval for the 22nd time in Cars Tour history at Hickory Motor Speedway, and for the 9th time, an iteration of a throwback event. And you could see all of those cars positioned throughout the front stretch, with the fans in waiting to see how this race is going to unfold. And we cannot wait to see how it is going to transpire, especially off of that thriller with the Pro Late models, with Spencer Davis capturing top honors. And Blake, the final few moments for these drivers to gather their thoughts, the teams to focus forward after that long delay. This has got to be the most nerve-wracking time for these racers.
Well, they've had all day to do it, right? And it's finally here. And for so many of these drivers that are starting up in the top 10, I mean, you take a look at some of these beautiful throwbacks that we have. How about Lane Riggs representing his father, Scott Riggs, starting in second in that number 2 car. He's got a great shot tonight. He's always fast at Hickory. Landon Lewis, that 704 Hemp, number 97, a Ron Hornaday throwback. How about Landon Huffman starting in a position that he has been really strong all season long at being able to drive through the field. He's got some great track position in the Boat Daddy Pink Caddy tonight. That number 39 ought to be strong.
Yeah, and then how about the welcome return for Trayton Lapsevich, winner last season with the Tour, has kind of been scratching and clawing for every opportunity he has. He's back with AK Performance, and those are just some of the stars in today's race. Let's go trackside to get the most famous words in motorsports.
Race fans, for the most famous words in motorsports, and to give the command for the late model stock car portion of the Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing, please welcome FloRacing's Director of Global Partnerships, Chris McKee.
Thank you, James. On behalf of my 400 teammates from Flo Sports across the country, thank you, Hickory. Let's do this. God bless America. God bless our troops and drivers. Start your engine!
The sound of 550 horsepower roaring to life. Hundreds of times in these drivers' careers, they've had the opportunity to sit in a race just like this and be able to enjoy a moment with their spotters and with their crew chiefs, likely offering a word of encouragement. And for many of them, they will have the same opportunity in many races in the years to come. But never before in their racing lives have they had the stakes that are available tonight in late model racing. For many, this is the only time in which they will adorn the throwback schemes of those who they are honoring. Some are friends, some are family, and some are heroes that they have often looked up to. A night like no other. The Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing is just about ready to go at Hickory, as we'll take a look at our field starting tonight that is rolling across here. Again, we mentioned Tristan McKee on the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award. Hopping back behind the wheel of a late model stock car, Lane Riggs honoring a 1999 throwback for his father, Scott Riggs, will start second. Landon Lewis, that number 97 car, in third. And Caden Honeycutt, the number 17 Pearson throwback, starting in row number 2 and 4th.
How about the hotshot rookie and Carson Lofton for Nelson Motorsports, starting 5th in the 22, and the Pink Caddy, former track champion Landon Huffman, fan favorite for sure in that 39. We talked about the return of Trayton Lapsevich. He's in the AK Performance number 98 car, starting inside of row 4, and Chad McCumbee looking for his second career Cars Tour win and second here at Hickory, starting 8th.
Number 81, that'll be Minnie Tyrell, your winner from Dominion. 50 grand would go a long way for that program tonight. And a trio of cars for Nelson Motorsports. This number 12 being driven by the Valley Star Credit Union 300 winner from a couple of years ago in Trevor Ward. And how about Jared Fryer, 2 times a winner on the Tour? Can he become the first 3-time winner in 2025?
As we continue on down the field, how about a Bill McAnally throwback for its Arca Menards West driver, Jake Bowman, in the number 16 slated to roll off in 12th position. There are 3 Nelson Motorsports cars in the field tonight. The 2 tonight is going to be driven by Sam Butler, and one of the fan favorites from the throwback perspective from 2000, Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s Tasmanian Devil number 3, tonight wheeled by Doug Barnes Jr., who will be rolling off in 14th spot.
A good reminder to vote for your favorite throwback scheme. That runs out tomorrow. Laney Bice, the other Lee Pulliam Performance car, represented in the 03 Folsom Fence Supply Chevrolet. And how about Caden Quapple, picked up his first win in a late model stock for Junior Motorsports a couple weeks ago, right here at this racetrack, starting in the number 8 in the 18th position.
Chase Burrow, our winner at Langley, who just run a couple of races back, looking for win number 2. What would be a massive night for him, and keeping the local hometown feel going. Michael Bumgarner scheduled to roll off in the 19th spot in a throwback to his father. And the wheel and engineering number 31 for Brody Monahan, tossing it back to Steve Park, will roll off 20th.
That paint scheme up in the top 5 in our voting for the favorite throwback paint scheme. You can see the number 84 of Landon S. Huffman back with us. He makes up the 22nd starter. Mason Diaz, 23rd. Thomas Bean, 24th. Connor Hall, 25th. Cade Brown, 26th. Ronnie Bassett Jr. will start in 27th. Donovan Strauss, Graham Haller, and Connor Jones make up your 30-car field here tonight. Again, those last 2 positions were decided by virtue of a last chance qualifying race that was run yesterday before the Pro Late Models.
We'll have to get confirmation on this, but we received word beforehand. Mason Bailey in the 05 had to withdraw. That team pulled out of the track property a little bit earlier this afternoon. And the ex-Pete Silva throwback of Thomas Bean, that was the last car to make it in on time. We were told that Thomas also had to skip out on the race tonight. That car is dropped to the back. We believe it may end up being a start and park, essentially, with a relief driver. We'll try to get confirmation there. As Blake, we are 1 lap away from getting this one going.
Hats off to all of these race fans and the Cars Tour officials, who I'm sure were told perhaps a couple of times today that racing may not be in the cards tonight, but indeed we are ready to crown a champion of the Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing. $2,500 these drivers have earned by starting this race, but they're eyeing the big bucks tonight. 50 grand on the line. The richest race in pavement late model racing history is set to go. Sit back and enjoy this one from Newton, North Carolina. Side by side for the top spot. Nearly a drag race at the line between youngster Tristan McKee, trying to celebrate his birthday by earning $50,000 tonight, and Lane Riggs looking to go back to Cookout Victory Lane in the Cars Tour side by side, but McKee had it by 3,000ths at the line.
And that time again, McKee by about a quarter of a car length in the 7, able to edge out Lane Riggs in the newly numbered 2 car, who flirts with the outside wall. Behind him, Carson Lofton did just the same in the 22. Here comes Landon Lewis in the 97, drawing even with Lane Riggs for 2nd spot to turn 1.
We knew as soon as Landon Lewis had good track position that he was going to be a factor tonight. Ever since Rodney Childers has been turning the riches for this Kevin Harvick Incorporated team, they have found something else in terms of speed, and you can see him very easily able to make his way by Lane Riggs for that 2nd position. Meanwhile, Caden Honeycutt, I'm sure, very motivated after being put to the tail end of the field in the Pro Late Model race. Still wants to collect 50 grand tonight. He said pre-race he was more motivated than any race he's run in his life to try and win this one tonight. He's up into 4th, and how about Landon Huffman battling tough on the outside?
Huffman in that pink caddy, Boat Daddy, number 39, on the outside of Chad McCumbee in the 16, ahead of Trayton Lapsevich. This is a battle right now that's happening for the 6th spot, with Huffman honestly doing pretty well there on that top side. Gets about a half car length surge off too, but McCumbee keeps the fender inside.
You're exactly right. You can see McCumbee slipping up, and we talk about that bump that's on the exit of turn 4. These late model stock cars don't handle that nearly as well as what we saw in the pros earlier, but Huffman, I think, showing better. We haven't seen a lot of cars on the green racetrack over the last couple of days able to really run that 2nd lane well, but Robert Huffman wheeling a car just like that in the 1990s on his way to some track championships here at Hickory Motor Speedway. going pretty great right now, still side by side with Chad McCumbee, your former pole sitter here at Hickory Motor Speedway.
Well, a lot of the field, especially all that in front, is kind of nestled out single file. Just I say that, a bump there, Lofton to the back of Honeycutt, 22 and 17, and a slip by Huffman is going to cost him the spot to McCumbee. Here comes Trayton Lapsevich in the 98 down low. As we watch these two battle, Lofton in the 22 nudged Honeycutt a bit there in the 17 a lap ago. Now they've got about a quarter car length separation in the battle for fourth.
And Huffman's, he fought valiantly up there, but he can't find a way to get down. Minnie Tyrell gives a bump and a nudge to the back of Trayton Lapsevich. How great is it to see Trayton Lapsevich back? And the fact that he's even in this race to begin with. He posted on social media just a couple of weeks ago about his desire to want to run in this race here tonight. He was not originally planned to be out here. He got some love on social media, including from Mark Martin, who garnered some high praise. He was able to put a deal together, locked his way into the field on time, which he had to do, and running up in the top 10 right now. Anytime Lapsevich gets the opportunity behind the wheel of a race car, he takes full advantage of it.
A couple of cars had some contact in the back half of the field. Brody Monahan's got some damage to the right front of his number 31 car. Also, Landon S. Huffman got kicked around, but we stay green with McKee still out in front over Landon Lewis. Here's McCumbee on Lofton with a nudge in turns 1 and 2.
A little bit of a bump, and again, McCumbee can't go any lower. They use a little bit of the apron in 1 and 2, and in fact, there's a little bit of a repave that went on in the apron in 3 and 4 right here at this racetrack. Not so much in 1 and 2, and also there's a lot of moisture down there that those drivers will have to try and navigate. But Carson Lofton, another car that may try to get, or at least battle Chad McCumbee on the outside right now. McCumbee slips off the corner on the bottom, and Honeycutt now underneath the number 2, Scott Riggs, Long Brothers Racing throwback. It was oh so fast around the Carolina region for a number of years for Scott Riggs out of Bahama.
A couple of drivers who have gotten used to racing side by side on a weekly basis in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Honeycutt on the inside, Riggs to the outside. We check it from high above with Carson Lofton watching it on. This is the fight for third. Now Honeycutt pulls a little bit further ahead in turn 3. Riggs trying to keep the fight going up top, but he's going to concede the position down to turn 1. Honeycutt to third.
And talking with some of these drivers earlier, including one that competes here on a weekly basis, in Michael Bumgarner, talks about the F45 Star tire, feeling like that he doesn't nearly have to save as much. I think that's why you see so many of these drivers fighting hard right now. Bumgarner riding back in the 15th position. Landon Huffman was able to get back down in 11th. But how about Jared Fryer also up to the 9th position as well? Something that caught my eye looking at the running order just a couple of laps ago.
And while we keep watching this race up at the front of the field, we are 20 laps into this 125-lap race. The championship points leader, Connor Hall, who started back in 25th spot, has actually lost a position. He was scored 26 last time through. Granted, that could be by design, but nevertheless, we're going to keep our eyes on where that 88 car is being scored. Right now, he hasn't been able to move up through the field like many may have anticipated at this juncture.
And I'm sure Landon Lewis well aware of that fact. Again, he had a great opportunity to try to take the points lead away from Connor Hall at Caraway Speedway a couple of weeks ago. That opportunity still available for him tonight. But again, if he can get back up front, start leading some laps, pile up those bonus points, will go a long way to try and defeat Connor Hall in this championship battle. You can see the gap between 1 and 2. It has been led up to this point by young Tristan McKee, celebrating yet another birthday. As you can see, Connor Hall right now struggling with his Junior Motorsports Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet.
Running ahead of Graham Holler, who won the last chance qualifier to race his way into the field. They are ahead of Donovan Strauss, who is running in that 28th spot. And I mentioned the X car, that was Jordan McGregor, who did start that machine and pulled off. 28 cars still running on the racetrack, with McKee's lead starting to get chipped into by our runner-up in points, Landon Lewis, in that 97 off 2.
And just catching out of our vantage point here, it looks like Chase Burrow has incurred quite a bit of nose damage on his race car as he was involved in some sort of stack up, and he is losing positions very, very quickly right now as he continues to fall through the field. So the Langley winner from a couple of weeks ago struggling right now, and perhaps the first bit of big damage that we have seen so far tonight. This is Jared Fryer, Trayton Lapsevich, just on the outskirts of the top 10. That's for the 8th running position. Oh, trouble!
Off of turn number 2, that's Landon S. Huffman, whose car is sitting stationary as the caution flag flies. Huffman was involved in a little bit of bumper tag that took place a handful of laps ago, sustained some damage on the front end of that race car, and a throwback to his father, Shane Huffman, who I had a chance to catch up with earlier today, throwing it back to the Lackey Grading Company that supported him and his racing career back in the early 90s. In fact, he's a 1999 Hickory track champion. Shane won over 40 races, in fact 48 races in total with this color scheme. And his son, Landon S. Huffman, draws the first caution in the late model stock portion of our program, and he's got considerable damage to the left rear bodywork of that car.
And this came at the perfect time for Chase Burrow. He was struggling mightily. Hard to tell who that contact was with. Again, so many times in the car store we talk about how hard these drivers are battling 15th on back, and they were just all over each other, nose to tail. And even Connor Hall, your championship points leader, is going to take this early opportunity to try and make some adjustments on his number 88 cars. They try to get that thing running a little bit better.
So evidently, maybe running where they were was not in fact by design. A pretty important chassis adjustment taken there as they go a couple rounds. Also looking on the left rear of that car. Hats off to our team trying to get us a look at what type of adjustments they're making on the 88 machine, which again had to fall back on a provisional to get into this field. Started 25th. At one point was running back in 27th position, and at the time of the caution had worked his way back up to where he started, but evidently whatever gremlins that are plaguing this car have forced him to come down the pit lane under the first caution of this race, 26 laps in.
I was surprised to see the running position 1 of Connor Hall, but Ronnie Bassett Jr., that's somebody else that we see oftentimes really strong at the end of these types of races, so wondering if that's a strategy call. I believe that is the case with the fact that they elected to stay out and not come down and make any adjustments, so we'll see how Bassett's able to rebound. Again, he was the winner of this race, didn't lead a lap last year in the Throwback Classic, but went to Cookout Victory Lane. He's got a beautiful Ronnie Bassett Senior throwback with the Buddy Scoops ice cream colors, and I gotta say, I can't tell you how many drivers, crew members I saw in the pit area over the last couple of days that were enjoying themselves some Buddy Scoops ice cream. Love that the Bassett family has continued to bring that out to the racetrack. It's a very, very popular addition to the pit area.
As they hit the shoes this time, let's get an update from Pike.
I made my way down to the Landon S. Huffman pit. A little bit of a debate as to whether or not they needed to come down, so I had to convince them that the tire was in fact going down. They looked at the fender, replaced the tire. That car should be going back on the racetrack soon. I also caught with Caden Honeycutt right as the yellow came out. He said his car is really, really good. He's really happy with it right now. Thanks,
Pike. We can see the results of the choose here on our SRI CitraSafe Cleaners drone. Tristan McKee going to elect to take the bottom. How about Caden Honeycutt jumping up, and he's going to elect to go to the outside line right now. Landon Lewis, he had the second option. He elects to stay on the inside line. So a lot of confidence right now we're seeing in that inside line at the moment, which I think, granted, from what we've seen early, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Honeycutt in that outside, number 17, throwing it back to 2011 NASCAR Hall of Fame inductee David Pearson, dubbed the Silver Fox, 3-time NASCAR Cup Series titleist and winner of the 1976 Daytona 500. Caden, of course, defending Snowball Derby champion, and was quoted during the week as saying, winning this race may very well rival that accomplishment with all that is on the line, and how much he loves driving these cars. And with this Tom Usry Racing team, again, was relegated to the back in the Pro Late Model race. He was able to shake that off rather quickly. He's about to give quite the challenge to Tristan McKee to see if he can not deny him a chance of winning his first ever Cars Tour Late Model stock race.
99 laps to go here at Hickory through the iRacing restart zone. Back underway here in the late model stock cars, and Caden Honeycutt taking it to your race leader Tristan McKee through turn 1, but McKee in that Spire Motorsports number 7 from Accuracy Racing has it cleared to 3.
Now Now the battles for second. 97 inside. Landon Lewis. 17 outside. Caden Honeycutt. Outside pole sitter Lane Riggs slots into fourth in the 2-car as we're door to door and just about rubbing fenders off too in the battle for the runner-up position, with Lewis starting to drift further forward as he washes wide off 4.
You can see with that yellow fire suit, those arms working behind the wheel, the number 97. Honeycutt going to try to get back down in front of his Craftsman Truck Series rival in Lane Riggs. He's able to do just that. Tyrell fills the spot. It'll be Lapsevich that's stuck on the high side, just a few cars back. But now Landon Lewis clear to second. He chose the inside for a reason. You can see right there. Lofton perhaps got a little bit of a shot from Lapsevich, who is close door-to-door racing with Vinny Tyrell in the 81.
Tyrell trying to keep Lofton up off the bottom, who's also fighting the steering wheel off turn 4, looking right into the cockpit of the race car as Tyrell looks down to the bottom. And in all the pieces that were done leading up to this race, Vinny Tyrell, 2-time winner on the season, he was pretty vocal about the fact he's not quite sure what the rest of his season looks like, and if he can keep going for the remaining 5 races after tonight, winning this race would go a long way, and he's just gotten around Lofton for 6th.
Fryer clears Trayton Lapsevich, who's in a bare-knuckle fight right now in that number 98 car. Landon Huffman gives a little bit of a bump to that 98 as well off at turn number 4. As Huffman tries to rally back up through the top 10. You can see that number 39, Robert Huffman throwback just in front of number 12 car. It has been that is Trevor Ward who's behind the wheel, that number 12 right now.
And Lofton's slide continues here as he has gotten rooted up off the bottom again, this time by 2-time winner on the season. First time in his Cars Tour career that Jared Fryer has gone to Cookout Victory Lane twice in a season. And the 2020 champion gets around Carson Lofton, who crosses him over now to turn 1.
Also saw a problem out the window for Caden Quapple. Got high in 2 into some of the moisture. He gathered it back up, but continues going. He lost several spots, though, in the middle portion of the field. Huffman trying to clear Lapsevich, who's making that job pretty difficult for him, but Huffman able to get the spot, get on by for 9th, and Trevor Ward trying to file right in with him.
Here comes the Congo line to the bottom. Ward in the 12 trying to get up through. Doug Barnes Jr. in the 3 trying to follow to keep Lapsevich up high and out of the top 10 potentially. If Ward could make this pass, Laney Bice following her teammate, contact. Lapsevich sideways after he and Ward come together, and they save it off turn 2.
It's so impressive what these drivers are able to do. Just look at how they're all leaning on each other, nose to tail, about 5 or 6 cars deep, and yet here they are still battling. There may be a rub for the number 3 Taz machine, that Dale Earnhardt Sr. throwback that Doug Barnes Jr. is trying to run, and now he gives a boot to Trayton Lapsevich, who moves up the racetrack.
Definitely got the center punch on the nose of that 3 car as he's now door to door and into the side of Lapsevich in the battle for the 10th position. More contact further back. The physicality is starting to pick up in this race in a massive way, with Barnes muscling his way into the top 10 for the first time tonight, but Lapsevich isn't done yet.
Bice had a great save as she and Bowman had contact off of turn 2. Doug Barnes is trying to scurry away. Again, you can see so many of these drivers. You don't see a lot of counter steer off of turn 4. You're looking at all these drivers turning to the left off of turn 4. They're battling tight right now on this racetrack that has a ton of grip. It's cooler conditions than what they've been running for the last several months in this series. You can see Pete McCaskill side by side in the 08. That's Cade Brown in the number 19. Burrow is slow. He's up the racetrack.
Yeah, Graham Holler, I think, thought that he got used up a little bit off turn 2 a lap ago. He's into the back of Burrow again. 00 and 25, playing bumper tag with Donovan Strauss trying to get through before things get out of hand.
Just chaotic. I don't know how they've kept it together this long. Again, this is how hard they battle in the Cars Tour. It is all throughout the field. Strauss right now contending for a Rookie of the Year. He had to rely on a provisional to get into this race. He has a slip up off of the corner, a little bit of contact. This is 25th, and yet look how hard these drivers are racing. Brody Monahan's nearly on the apron out of turn 4.
See some of the damage that Monahan sustained earlier in the run before the caution flag came out as we're about to come to 80 laps to go. And as you said, Blake, this is happening out of the top 20. And these drivers are sawing on the wheel around this racetrack with the leaders starting to close. In fact, they're on the same straightaway now as the cars on the tail end of the lead lap.
And if that type of racing continues, it's not going to be very long before they're chasing them down. 29 cars at this under 4/10 of a mile oval. It's easy to fill up. And and start having lap traffic get in the way. 89, now 79 laps to go. And that gap between 1 and 2, you can see right now Tristan McKee and Landon Lewis separated by about a second right now. And was talking to a member of, talking to the team for Tristan McKee yesterday, and they were so complimentary of his composure that he's had over the course of his driving career, the maturity he's had this season in particular, the speed he's been able to find. But the one thing they mentioned was how he's been able to manage races, and that's one thing they preached and wanted to make sure was a focus for tonight. And I think doing a brilliant job of that so far. Has the current, or I think would believe the live points leader right now, and Landon Lewis right behind him. They're doing a tremendous job right now managing this race. Chad McCumbee, though, this number 16 car that we saw, is about the only car we saw that was kind of sliding all over the place, as we see the gap that is continuing to stretch out with Tristan McKee.
That is what a 1 second deficit looks like from McKee back to Landon Lewis in that Ron Hornaday throwback scheme that they surprised Ron with at the racetrack. If you haven't seen it, they posted it on the KHI social media platform. And Ron, which dates back to his Southwest Tour Championship winning efforts, all he could say was, man, that's badass. And he has been smiling all weekend long. They got the fire suit, the crew shirts to go with it. And they're hoping that maybe they could add a trophy to it. But as Rob Blount said, the chrome wheels are the cherry on top of that thing as we check in on our defending race winner, Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the 44, and Cade Brown in the throwback to Marcus Richmond's father in that number 19 car, battling for position with Mason Diaz in tow.
Ronnie Bassett Jr. was falling back to about 24th, 25th earlier. You can see Brown, he's one of the few cars that we see sliding a little bit free, trending a little bit loose off of turn 4. Cade Brown nearly got a Cars Tour win here in one of his first starts in the series 2 years ago in this race. Somehow Cookout Victory Lane has just continued to elude him. A couple of great throwbacks that those two drivers are running. We talked about Ronnie Bassett Jr. running a throwback to Ronnie Bassett Sr., the 19 of Cade Brown running a throwback to Marcus Richmond's father, the owner of RNS Race Cars, Paul Richmond. Two great looking throwbacks right there as we take a look at the battle for the lead right now. Tristan McKee still setting the pace.
A couple of things starting to unfold here. Landon Lewis has been a tick quicker the last couple laps as we drop back and check in on this battle for position that is shaping up for 16th on back. Laney Bice in the Folsom Fence Supply 03 ahead of the 2 car, Sam Butler, who just wrapped up the Summer Shootout Championship. The aforementioned Caden Quapple, who got bounced around a few laps ago. He peeks to the inside of Butler in the 8 car, but nothing quite there in turn 3.
And you can see the gap that's in front of Laney Bice. That was because of the contact that she and Bowman had a couple of laps prior. She checked up off the corner. She was able to save it. We stayed green, but nevertheless kind of formed this gap in the field as this is the battle for 4th right now. We talked about Lane Riggs still hanging around, but Minnie Tyrell looking to take a spot from that number 2 car. Goes low, clean and easy for Minnie Tyrell up into the 4th position.
This race is certainly starting to shape up in a way in which Minnie Tyrell just kind of floats his way up to the front. And let's keep in mind, 2 cars further up the road from Tyrell right now is Landon Lewis, the car, driver, and team that he was battling for the win at Caraway just about a month ago for a race victory. And they got together on a late race restart. Each of them said there's no hard feelings. In fact, Landon Lewis stepped up and said that may have been on me, but nevertheless, this may be the first time those two find each other should Tyrell get there. How will that battle engage once those two start to come together, because Tyrell is cutting up through this field.
Again, they had a conversation about it. Landon Lewis was a driver who was very transparent after that race, was going up and talking to Minnie, and they were able to discuss it out. Obviously, drivers will disagree in those situations, but I think really mature there for those two to settle it out. I wouldn't imagine that would carry over into tonight. You know, race car drivers, they never know. But you can see Tristan McKee starting to get into the tail end of lap traffic. Graham Haller, who's won many races here in limited late model competition and also competes at nearby Tri-County Speedway, winning some races. Going a lap down, Chase Burrow gave a shot to Brody Monahan in the battle for the lap, battle just in front of their race leader, Tristan McKee.
Chase Burrow and Brody Monahan, 0031, side by side in front of the leader, and Tristan McKee in the 7. And we're starting to see these cars at the tail end of the lead lap get a little bit more aggressive as they're continuing their side-by-side fight. Here comes Landon Lewis in the 97. Look at McKee way down to the bottom on Burrow to try to keep the momentum rolling, and Burrow holds him tight in 3.
We went green with 99 laps remaining, so again, think about 45 laps of the competition caution. Those drivers are going to try to hang on and stay on the lead lap about half a straightaway ahead. Could you imagine Connor Hall may be in danger of going the lap down if Tristan McKee can get by Brody Monahan, but they're now within a car length for the battle between 1 and 2 with Tristan McKee in the 797 of Landon Lewis able to get clear of Chase Burrow.
Battle for the lead, now separated by about a car length. Brody Monahan, who's the front end of his race car, beaten, battered, and bruised. And as you said, Blake, next in line, if McKee could dispose of Monahan, is the championship points leader, Connor Hall, who even if he goes a lap down, as now McKee gets by Monahan here off turn 2, Hall will try desperately to at least stay on the lead lap, or at worst, remain in free pass condition, as he is very loose off turn 4 as Hall, with now a lap car between McKee and Lewis.
Can't think of a greater example of how difficult the Cars Tour can be than what we're seeing right now. Chase Burrow, who won at Langley Speedway a couple of weeks ago, currently going 1 lap down. Connor Hall, your championship points leader coming into the night. He's in danger of going a lap down, a former winner of the Throwback Classic. How about the fact that Parker Eatman, Brandon Pierce, Ryan Millington, they failed to qualify into this race. That's how competitive it is. And there you can see Connor Hall going a lap down here at Hickory.
And the big question is going to be, can McKee get up to and past former champion Deke McCaskill, who is the next car in line? Then it's Mason Diaz. Hall is going to try to stay right with McKee to see if he can end up in free pass position, with Lewis's charge appearing to have stalled out for the moment.
You know Landon Lewis, he's going to try to do anything he can to try to put Connor Hall behind him. That's the driver he's chasing in the battle for the 2025 ZMAX Cars Tour Championship. McKee's run is somewhat stalled out, and the caution flag is out, so Hall survives and at least will be the free pass of the recipient of the lucky dog. So a big break there for Connor Hall.
A great break for Connor Hall as this caution flag comes out after 45 consecutive green flag laps. So our second yellow of the race, this one for a competition caution. And Tristan McKee still the leader. Connor Hall will be the recipient of the free pass. Working caution number 2 of the Throwback Classic for the ZMAX Cars Tour, presented by Sound Gear, live on FloRacing. Come on back to see who walks away with $50K right after this.
To help take care of your vehicle? ZMAX Micro Lubricant. ZMAX Micro Lubricant is a DIY solution that pours into your fuel and oil. ZMAX proprietary molecules are uniquely small, so they literally soak into the metal, dispersing harmful carbon deposits. This improves horsepower, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. ZMAX is good for your car, your wallet, and the environment. Can be used in new or used vehicles. Available at ZMAX.com or your local auto parts store.
Hendrick.
It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under 20 grand. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and 0 down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 5-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under 20 grand. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
Lessen the noise of the track, not the rush of the race. With Sound Gear, hearing protection solutions that lap the competition. Perfect for racers, crew, fans, or anyone who works or plays in loud places. To order your Sound Gear product today, visit soundgear.com or visit our flagship store in Mooresville, North Carolina.
Just over 50 laps separates one of these drivers from a life-changing $50,000 here at the Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing. Blake McCandless, Eric Brennan, James Pike along with you. As you can see, the work going on for a couple of drivers coming down to make adjustments under this competition caution, 2 of which are drivers who are currently in the top 10 in the championship standings, Donovan Strauss and Cade Brown. a former track champion here at this racetrack. Again, so many big, strong names in this field, Eric, are struggling in this one. Connor Hall, again, was waved around. He'll be put back on the lead lap. James Pike, what's going on down there?
A lot of chatter on the radio is what's going on down there. Paid attention that last run to a lot of what was said on Landon Lewis and Vinny Tyrell's radios. And Vinny said he's a little bit tight in the center, a little bit free on corner entry. They told him you're going to have to adjust your line to compensate. And Landon Lewis's bit, they said, be patient. It's going to pay off. You can go about 85% here until we really, really need it. But they think they're going to see some cars get into it. They think we're not done with the yellows before we get to the end of this Throwback Classic.
It's a sentiment of a lot of drivers that I talked to throughout the last couple of days, as they feel like around this time, it could get wild. The HitcherCars.com pace car has pulled down. Tristan McKee once again brings Caden Honeycutt, who elected to start on the front row through the iRacing restart zone, back underway, and Honeycutt is hanging with your race leader off at turn 2. They touch as they go down into 3.
Bit of a brush there as McKee entered up wide there to try to perfect his entry down into turn number 3, and it's gonna work as he barely clears the nose of Honeycutt, with now Lewis and Honeycutt banging doors for second.
Second straight restart that Lewis, is the second car, chose the inside lane, and you can see exactly why. Honeycutt hanging on for all he is worth, but this is just allowing Tristan McKee to slowly continue to pull away if they can't settle it out. But Honeycutt, working with a brand new spotter this weekend, is able to find a way down, working with Brett Edwards. He's never worked with him before, was with him both in the Pro Late and the Late Model Stock Car race, but a good relationship between those two right now. Brett Edwards clears Honeycutt down to the bottom for third.
And they did a great job getting down between Landon Lewis, who runs in the second spot, and Minnie Tyrell in that 81, who has been charging his way up through the pack, currently running 4th, ahead of Lane Riggs, the outside pole sitter in the black number 2 car. That's your top 5. McKee fends off the challenge. 50 laps to go, with Lewis now trying to catch back up to the back bumper of that 7 car in the battle for the lead, double wide mid-pack.
Laney Bice running way wide, but is able to make up a spot again. That's Connor Jones in that 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. He was one of the drivers that raced his way in through the last chance qualifier yesterday. We hear so many times about how important track position is here in the Cars Tour, and he's done a tremendous job. He echoed to James Pike yesterday. He thought he had a lot of confidence in what that car was going to be able to do in race trim, and he's showing exactly why right now. That 2012 Jimmy Johnson Throwback looking good, trying to get around the 0-3 of Laney Bice, and now Caden Quapple hanging on over the defending and current point series leader here at Hickory Motor Speedway, the 95 of Michael Bumgarner.
And Connor Jones entered this race along with Graham Holler, $500 richer thanks to Leapfrog Landscaping, hoping to add a little bit more cash to the pocket. As Fryer in the 14 is to the inside of Lane Riggs. It's the battle for 5th. Carson Lofton, after losing a couple of spots to start this race, watching on, with Chad McCumbee also waiting in the wings, as now Fryer is going to crack the top 5.
A little bit of damage on the door there for that 14 car, but he's able to get on by. I was just about to mention, don't look now, but how about Jared Fryer, who we talk about favorites all the time in this series, and he's somebody that can at times just fly a little bit under the radar, but he's cleared a 5th. Big shot to Lane Riggs into turn 3. Here comes Carson Lofton looking for a way by.
And Riggs isn't going to get a chance to return the favor as we check back in on the front 3. McKee, Lewis, Honeycutt. Here's now McCumbee in the 16, down low on Carson Lofton. This just outside of the top 5. Landon Huffman trying to surge back further forward as well. And behind them, it is the number 16 Bill McAnally Throwback of Jake Bowman, also working his way up closer to the front of the pack. He just joined the top 10 for the first time tonight a handful of laps ago, and he's not done yet.
I think there was a skirmish going on between Doug Barnes and Trayton Lapsovich. Lapsovich able to grab that spot. Good racing going on here. Landon Huffman, Lane Riggs, who's been hanging on in that outside line, what seems like all night long, as Huffman, almost some contact there off of turn 4. Huffman not able to get the spot just yet.
And we talked about Jake Bowman, and as you catch the car, everybody comes together off the corner. Bowman's got some damage to the nose of that Chevrolet, and it was there earlier, maybe worsened a little bit there by getting into the left rear quarter panel of Huffman off 2.
So close, so difficult as we approach 40 laps to go in the Throwback Classic, $50,000 on the line. It's all been led by Tristan McKee. But I tell you what, Eric, if we can get a caution or a little bit of track position for this 48 car, he is on fire right now. This is very reminiscent of what we saw at the end of 2024, how Connor Jones was able to carve through the field. He won each of the last 2 races last season at Tri-County in North Wilkesboro. As you can see, a little bit of damage there on the hood. It's bucked up a little bit for the number 3 Lee Pulliam Performance machine, Chevy, Ferrari, whatever you want to call it. You can't tell looking at that nose of Doug Barnes Jr.
And Connor Jones is now big fender up there on the 16 of Jake Bowman, just in front of Jones, and it's not getting any better. In fact, that may be mechanical as that car has drifted up towards the top side of the racetrack. Have to keep our eyes here as Bowman is now losing multiple spots and is trapped to the outside lane, and he's going to roll to a stop. And the caution flag will fly for the 3rd time tonight, and a spin behind him.
Diaz and Burrow checking up for that one. Diaz saw Bowman at the top end of turn 4. Burrow not able to apply the brakes in time, as they were reacting there to Bowman, who was trying to find a way down. And again, it's so difficult for these drivers. 29 spread across this racetrack. Clearly needed to get into the pits, but there's just not a way to get down there safely when 29 cars are going after about a 5 or 10 lap green flag run. You just can't do it. No other option but to stop right there.
Get a look at the dual purpose of this most recent caution from the SRI and Citrus Safe drone that is high above the front straightaway. The 16 of Jake Bowman able to drive away the 8 car Mason Diaz, who won this race 2 years ago, ironically when it was also pushed to a Sunday conclusion, driving the Hedgecock Racing house car and a Hedgecock Racing throwback to 1979 to Jay Hedgecock, and a lot of sentimental value associated with that car. Former late model sportsman champion at Caraway Speedway. Chase Burrow back on the pit lane, trying to take down the nose of his Toyota bodied race car, and he's not alone. Several other cars starting to enter the pit lane on this caution with 37 laps to go.
First car I saw in the pits was Ronnie Bassett Jr. We talked about he stayed out earlier thinking that he had enough to try and drive his way up through the field. Unfortunately not going to be the case, so Bassett's going to give up a 19th place running position as things stand right now with 37 to go to try and come down and make some adjustments. Saw they were working on the left rear of that race car. Brody Monahan in as well. He's got a fair amount of damage on the nose of his Steve Park throwback. And the 4 of Donovan Strauss also sitting in the pit area. They have been struggling all night long with his IV active machine.
And as this race starts to click off more laps, the level of intensity seems to ratchet up click by click. With 37 to go, that trend is most likely going to continue all the way down to the checkered flag with our 3rd caution in the win. And Tristan McKee has been the dominant car up to this point, with Landon Lewis hoping to have a big points day. Before the yellow flag came out, Connor Hall, who did stop for adjustments, was scored 23rd at the time of the yellow. And we see the work continuing here on Ronnie Bassett Jr.'s car, as well as Donovan Strauss.
So as things have settled out here in the top 5, we see Minnie Tyrell drove his way up to 4th. Jared Fryer has been just slowly and methodically, in very Jared Fryer fashion, been picking them off one by one. He's up into 5th. When timing and scoring officially refreshes, once Jake Bowman, who's right now scored in 10th, will be down in the pit area, and I imagine will not be joining us for the restart, as they continue to scan the racetrack and make sure everything is okay after he had his mechanical issues. Connor Jones will move up yet another position. He's almost up into the top 10, and from the cars I've seen, the 14 of Jared Fryer, the 48 of Connor Jones have been 2 of the best that I've seen so far tonight that can pick their way through traffic as we come to the choose cone.
So we hit the choose this time by 2 trends that I want to point out here. The last 3 iterations of the throwback event have produced first-time winners. Mason Diaz 3 years ago, Connor Zilich won here at Hickory. I should say the last 3 Hickory races have produced first-time winners. Diaz, Zilich, and Ronnie Bassett Jr. a year ago. 6 times the winner has come from the pole. McKee's trying to do both of that. But as we watch Connor Jones float his way up through the field, only twice has a winner of a Cars Tour race at Hickory started outside outside of the top 10. The furthest back anybody ever did it, Deke McCaskill, and it was just barely out of the top 10, about 14th spot. Connor Jones started last on this field, 30th. He's only a couple of spots away from cracking the top 10.
And I don't have this written in my notes, but I can confirm no driver has ever won from a last chance race, because we've only had 2 of them. Right here at Hickory here today, and then a couple of years ago back in the spring Hickory race in 2023. Lights are extinguished on the HendrickCars.com pace car. McKee, Honeycutt, side by side through the iRacing restart zone, back underway to settle 50 grand, 37 to go. And the best launch of the night for Caden Honeycutt in the second lane. It's Honeycutt with the advantage off of turn 2.
Carson Lofton popped the wall behind him. Contact here as McKee gets shoved aside by Lewis. 3 wide for the race lead at the start-finish line.
Lewis gonna try to go for it here. I don't know if this will work. Honeycutt gets shoved wide. Now it's 2 wide for the lead. Landon Lewis looking to wrestle it away for the first time from Tristan McKee. Honeycutt officially led that last time. Side by side. Now Fryer may try to make it 3 wide for third.
Honeycutt tried to get back to the bottom, but Tyrell kept the nose inside. McKee hanging tough on the top lane in the 7. Here comes Lewis in the 97 down low. Still door to door for the lead in 3 and 4 with Tyrell closing from third.
Manny Tyrell trying to get clear of Caden Honeycutt for third, and looks like into turn number 1 he's going to be able to do just that. McKee looking to close the door. What a tremendous effort fending off McKee from the top side. And Jared Fryer, he's trying to get up into 4th. He gives a shot to Caden Honeycutt.
Every nudge, every bump, every rub from this point forward, the drivers are going to take exception, and the battle for the lead's back on. Lewis to the bottom, McKee up top, Tyrell in 3rd. Contact there in turn 3. McKee trying to hang on to the top spot off 4, and he's still got the top spot.
An amazing job for the youngster who just turned 15 years of age today. It's hard to believe that he's able to do this right now, holding off Landon Lewis. Manny Tyrell starting to work into the picture. $50,000 would completely change the direction of that program if he were able to go to victory lane here tonight. Off at turn 2, nose to tail. Lewis gets a shot from Manny Tyrell behind.
30 to go when they come back to the line. Tyrell with another nudge to the back of Lewis. This time gets him up off the bottom, but he can't get a fender inside of turn 1 just yet. Another tag there to Lewis. Tyrell and Lewis bouncing off each other in turn 2.
Remember how these two raced at Caraway? These two came together in the battle for the win. They weren't so happy afterwards. Is that influencing how they're racing here tonight? Tyrell into turn 1. Lewis gives him a shot. 3 wide. Tyrell saves it. Remarkable driving. Honeycutt now trying to take advantage.
I think the gloves are off between the 81 and 97 now, with Honeycutt trying to take advantage of them both. Lewis holds on to 2nd. Honeycutt back to 3rd. McKee trying to run and hide as the battle for 2nd ratchets up now 5 cars deep off of turn 2.
Tristan McKee may be the youngest driver in the field, but he's driving away looking like the Grizzly veteran here tonight. 27 laps to go, and Lewis at the end of it all has settled out in 2nd, but if Tyrell can get back to him, Eric, I don't know if we'll stay green to the end.
Things finally start to settle out, but Connor Jones isn't done yet. He's just gotten to the inside of McCumbee for 7th. A remarkable drive for Connor Jones, well up into the top 10. He may be hoping for one of those cautions if he can catch it, because he's definitely got race-winning pace.
That 48 car was outside of the top 10 on this latest restart. He's driven up to 7th. If they keep battling in front of him and he gets a yellow, who knows? Maybe Connor Jones has a shot at $50,000. And we haven't talked a lot about so many rookies here tonight. Aside from Tristan McKee, look at Carson Lofton. He has talked at length with me this season about trying to figure out these cars, and his struggle has been qualifying. He's felt really great about what he's been able to bring into these races. He got a great qualifying spot in Wilkesboro. That paid dividends for him, and he got another one here tonight, continuing his progression here with Nelson Motorsports. And Eric, I know you talked at length with him today about being able to lean on the quality of teammates that he's had over the last couple of weeks in this tour.
He said working with Trevor Ward these last 2 races have been incredible for him. The former Valley Star Credit Union 300 winner helping Carson elevate his talents, driving a stock car for the first time at many of the racetracks that he has visited. Hickory being part of that formula. As we got a car off the pace on the back straightaway, Jake Bowman has rolled to just about a stop. The car's now back going. He's on the bottom of the racetrack. Oh, Landon Huffman almost got turned around off 4.
how did he hang on to that off of turn number 4? It was right in front of Lane Riggs. The field continuing to try and roll on by. Now Doug Barnes, he's been racing hard all night long with Trayton Lapsevich as he tries to get the best of that battle, still dealing with that hood that's pinned up. No worries there for that 3-car, 20 laps to go at Hickory.
So Lapsevich 9th, Barnes 10th, 98 3-car respectively, as things have settled out a little bit towards the front of the field, but it's certainly physical outside of the top 10. Here's Barnes with a look down low on Lapsevich. Got some breathing room to try some things, this Doug Barnes Jr. And off of turn 2, the battle for 9th, almost side by side, while Huffman and Riggs continue their slugfest fight just behind them.
Been a slugfest all night long here at Hickory Motor Speedway. Huffman still trying to hang on. Laney Bice also trying to work into the picture and work her way towards a top 10 finishing spot here tonight as the laps continue to tick off quickly here. Off of turn 4, Barnes and Riggs taking a look inside each of their respective drivers as they continue to battle in turns 1 and 2.
Battle for 9th, battle for 11th, battles all throughout the field. Give a call to Landon S. Huffman for working his way back up into the top 15 after he drew the first yellow with a spin back on lap 26. Lapsevich down to the inside on Barnes again, with Riggs to the bottom of Landon Huffman on the right side of your frame.
It's the biggest spread we've seen in a while, and I think that has to deal with the conditions that are so much different than what we've had, not only in weather, but in terms of the fact that we just haven't had as much track time very recently in these conditions. Haven't really run race laps since Friday a couple of days ago. It was entirely different than what these drivers were anticipating. As, oh, what another tremendous save off of turn 4 from Laney Bice. She's had a couple of ones tonight where she's been able to hang on to the race car. She does it again.
Well inside the final 15 laps of this race, now 13 laps to go. So if we are going to see another caution, it will come from an organic cause as Bice gets tagged again. Barnes now up into the 9th spot. Lapsevich running in 10th position. Last couple laps, McKee and Lewis have been similar on the stopwatch, but this is a fight that just won't go away, with Barnes now taking the very high line, trying to fend off Lapsevich in this battle for 9th and 10th respectively, with Landon Huffman closing in on these two.
And Barnes has a ton of experience. Oh, you can see the correction he has to make there in 1 and 2, but my goodness, is he running higher than you'll often see here at Hickory Motor Speedway. You can see loses that momentum when he hits the chip going down into turn 1. But Lapsevich, a great battle that these two were having. Landon Lewis has been faster each of the last 6 laps as he tries to run down Tristan McKee, who is starting to run into the back of lap traffic. There's a ton of it in front of Tristan McKee with 10, now 9 laps to go. There's Donovan Strauss in front of him. McKee lost a ton of time trying to get around Donovan Strauss.
Landon Lewis cut the margin in half. Caution is out. We got a yellow flag, and for the second time tonight, Landon S. Huffman, who worked so hard to get back in the top 15, spins out of what was scored to be 15th spot, and for the second time tonight, it's in turn 2. Wow, right as the leader, Tristan McKee, caught the tail end of the field, Landon Lewis cut the margin in half the lap before. It was 0.8 of a second. He got it down to 0.4 of a second, and the caution with 10 to go is going to give us a shootout of epic proportions.
And the one thing I would try to figure out, and maybe this is a discussion that's going on the 97 radio right now, is I do not want to line up with Minnie Tyrell behind me. That is the last thing I would want to see right now if I was that number 97 driver. I imagine Tristan McKee been so great on the bottom all night long, has been comfortable down there. But Lewis, he's elected to go to the bottom each of these restarts. Does he finally take that leap to try and take that second lane? But then if you're Minnie Tyrell and you line up second car on the outside, it could get a little hairy going down into 1.
And we touched on some of the meaning behind some of these drivers finding success in a race like this. Tristan McKee, the young man who, as Blake mentioned earlier, won on his birthday last year in a pro late model at North Wilkesboro Speedway, turning 15 years old today, but has never won in a Cars Tour late model stock car, trying to do so for the first time. Could be a massive championship night for Landon Lewis, but perhaps more importantly, a big night for one of his biggest mentors in Ron Hornaday Jr. as they hit the juice twos this time. Honeycutt goes to the outside. We'll jump down the pike for a quick update.
Yeah, Landon Lewis's crew just reminded him, hey, if you get into it and we get involved in the caution, we go to the back too. So don't do anything crazy to cost yourself and throw away this whole race in one move. A poignant thing, race control reminded these drivers before we got going, if you wreck somebody to try and win this race, you will not win this race. So emphasis on trying to get this done may be hard, but clean is the key, coming from Landon Lewis's radio.
Thanks, Mike. Definitely still keeping the championship in mind and also trying to win this. As we heard our Car Store pastor say in the invocation yesterday, may the winner try to do it the right way. As we are one lap away from a restart, Honeycutt picks the outside. Can the Snowball Derby champion double up on two of the biggest races of the year over the course of the last few months? And watch row two. Lewis and Tyrell have traded blows not just tonight, but also in one of our last late model stock races at Caraway. Jared Fryer, Carson Lofton, row three.
And how about Connor Jones? We've seen what he's been able to do to get up front. Does he have a shot here to collect 50K with 10 laps left through the iRacing restart zone? Caden Honeycutt, a great launch on the outside. He clears Tristan McKee almost down into one. New leader here off of turn number 2. It's Caden Honeycutt who gets a shot from McKee into 3.
And now McKee gets him off the bottom. Lewis to the flat to try to get to second. Contact there. Lewis is crashing. Lofton with a massive hit to the tire barrier, and several cars pile in. And right after the warning from the 97 crew about trying to make sure they get a solid result out of this, racing for the lead goes horribly wrong on the approach to turn 1.
That's Deke McCaskill. He's stopped in the middle of the straightaway. He's okay. And Tristan McKee, who has dominated all night long, out of this one.
That is Lewis's car, who is badly damaged on both ends. McKee, Lapsevich out of their cars. Carson Lofton also climbs from his machine as he went at about a 45-degree angle into that protective tire partition that protects the abutment in that wall that angles towards the pit entry and exit point. And Chad McCumbee, the last car involved as well. Deke McCaskill, who spun, drove away. And Ronnie Bassett Jr. is on the pit lane with a lot of damage to his 44.
Also saw Chad McCumbee. He put his window net down. He was the last car to pile in there into the safer barrier. And McCumbee is heated. He was talking to the youngsters. A lot of emotion here. Trayton Lapsevich assessing the damage. What a tremendous run that he was having. Again, limited starts for Lapsevich,
and you can see some of the displeasure starting to boil over as they pull Landon Lewis out of the mix, with several team members trying to separate Lewis from some of the other competitors and team members who are not at all that satisfied. Well, with $50,000 on the line and 10 laps to go on what has been a prolonged weekend due to Mother Nature intervening in several ways, it ends in a shower of sparks for several drivers. And we talked about the trials and tribulations all night long that Connor Hall has had in terms of the championship. And now Landon Lewis's night unravels with 10 to go after he was within reach of that $50,000 purse.
he and McKee both. So you can see exactly what it means to these drivers and these teams. So much time and effort goes in. It was the Matt Piercy Racing team that is having that discussion right now with the KHI team gathered right now. Great to see everybody walk away. Again, that's an area of this racetrack that can be really difficult if you go in at the wrong angle, and so glad to see that all involved, Chad McCumbee, Lapsevich, Lofton, all these guys were able to put the windows nets down, but this is going to take a little bit of cleanup with the fact that just so many of these tires are scattered around, and grateful that those tires protect that indent in the wall right there at the crossover gate that's located here at Hickory Motor Speedway in turn 1. This one's going to take a little bit to clean up, but we do have a look as these drivers are racing for $50,000 down the front straightaway.
So off the restart, Honeycutt had the edge. This is coming off turn 4. There's the initial contact. Lewis and McKee off the corner. They stay locked together. It hooks Lewis in front of the pack. Lofton takes a savage hit to the right side of the car. And there were several others that spun down to the bottom with McCumbee. Lane Riggs getting caught up in that as well. He was able to drive away. What a savage hit for several cars.
Some of that's not even smoke. That's the moisture. As a couple of cars, they had to go all the way down to the apron to avoid that one, but there's still so much moisture down with how the track has been draining that they were able to kind of bounce through the pond, if you want to call it that, through turn 1 and able to safely drive away. But again, could have been so much worse. Lofton with an incredible hit, and then Lewis, after a lot of those tires had been cleared out at that point, also hit that indent in the wall. That could have been a scary accident.
Well, unfortunately, this hardworking track crew that has been so hard at work over the last 3 days to get the racetrack dry, now they've got a pretty massive cleanup on their hands. With 10 laps still to go in the Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing at the Hickory Motor Speedway for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. The front runners tangle with 10 to go. We'll clean up the track, re-rack the field, and try again when we come back.
Hendrick. It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under 20 grand. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and 0 down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 5-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under 20 grand. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
With over 45 years of experience, Buzzy Racing has mastered the art of drivetrain specialties, spanning from dirt to asphalt tracks. You're not just a customer, but a valued member of our family, embraced by the tradition and passion embedded in every Buzzy build. We cover everything from rebuilding and selling drivetrain components, offering custom Buzzy parts, steering box services, and ensuring top-notch maintenance and support for braking systems. We are committed to excellence in helping racers maintain a competitive edge on the track. Get it Buzzy built.
Still under red flag here at Hickory Motor Speedway in the Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing for a multi-car crash in turn number 1 as these drivers were battling for the race lead. You see Tristan McKee, the dominant car of the night, and a tremendous opportunity for that young man to collect what is a crown jewel in the ZMAX Cars Tour this Throwback weekend, and time again has shown so well in this series, regardless of the discipline that he's been in, pro late models, late model stocks, Trans Am, it has not mattered. He has been so impressive, but an unfortunate early end to his night with 10 laps to go. There you see Carson Lofton and what is left of that number 22 car for Nelson Motorsports.
At the time of the crash, Carson was running in 6th. In fact, at the time of the wreck, your top 2 that were scored on the last restart, because this is the 2nd consecutive yellow that we have had on lap 115. It's our 5th caution of the race. But Tristan McKee, Landon Lewis, along with Carson Lofton, 1st, 2nd, 6th in the running order at the time of the pileup. Chad McCumbee was 8th. Trayton Lapsevich was 10th. So the top 10 pretty much got an egg beater taken to it as far as how things stand right now. And the track crew is trying to do all they can to make sure they could rebuild that protective barrier that protects an angle in the wall where the cars and race teams enter and exit the speedway. And they still got to figure out the best way to remove Landon Lewis, Trayton Lapsevich from the accident scene. So you can see just how much bodywork damage that has been taken to Lofton's car, with the brake taking place there right on the A-pillar towards the roof, the bodywork of that machine. Similar bodywork damage taken to McKee. And what was just a hellacious hit for so many cars. Trayton Lapsevich, since we last saw him, a big opportunity seized by that young man after getting an opportunity to race the Nitro Motorsports number 70 ARCA Menard Series car, winning at Berlin Raceway, coming back to the Cars Tour sitting there pretty much adjoined with Landon Lewis's machine as the cleanup continues. We'll step aside once more under red flag conditions with 10 laps still to go in the Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing.
Welcome back to coverage of the Throwback Classic here for the ZMAX Car Show presented by Sound Gear on FloRacing. Here with Nelson Motorsports' Carson Lofton, who was caught up in the massive melee just a few moments ago. Carson, did you have a chance to see anything from behind the wheel on that?
Not much. Looked like the 97 and the 7 got together going on the front stretch, and I was just an innocent bystander that I collected. But, you know, it is what it is. We're proud of these guys. We had a lot of speed in this number 22 machine this weekend. Just got to thank Barry and all these guys for all the hard work, and we'll be back in Anderson.
Physically, you're okay?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm fine.
What did you take away from this? You had a car that was top 5, top 10 all evening. So is it another sort of building block in a year that's been full of a lot of those and has seen a lot of progress for you?
For sure. I've learned every race, and this is obviously a big one right up front with these guys. So just got to keep learning, and hopefully we can end up in victory lane soon.
Unfortunate end to his evening, but a lot of strong positives to take away for Carson Lofton and his number 22 team for Nelson Motorsports.
Thanks, Pike. And, you know, we've been talking all weekend long about the fact that, you know, there is a lot of mental learning happening, especially for some of the younger drivers in the field. We touched on many of the rookies, many of the drivers seizing their first opportunity to race on a stage like this in 2025. And between the rain delay before qualifying, the race getting pushed to tonight, and now for drivers like Landon Lewis, like Carson Lofton, who had top 5 or even race-winning cars, this is also going to be a big learning moment for those young drivers to have to kind of compartmentalize how the night unfolded, how things ended up the way that they did. And for Carson especially, someone who I had a chance to catch up with earlier today, talking about him going to some of these tracks he hasn't been to before in a stock car, you could tell that's a young man who's already focused forward on his next opportunity, which will be at Anderson in a couple of weeks, as we peek at what happened to cause the crash.
You see contact, it starts with Lewis and Tristan McKee, and McKee just never gathers it back. And Lofton goes high to avoid, what was that, Quapple, Cade Brown, Trevor Ward. Trevor Ward had to dodge a tire that was rolling back. This is one more look. My goodness, what an impact. Bumgarner gets spun. You can see McCaskill slows down, but don't think he hit anything. Great job by our camera crew. They have been on it all weekend long.
And I think Carson was really lucky that he actually rode over the front of the nose of the 97, that it kind of pitched the car back to the left, and he ended up hitting that tire wall almost more broadside than head on. Otherwise, that impact could have been even more dramatic than what it already was, as we see the Brackley Ward and Kevin Harvick Incorporated team trying to figure out how they're going to get this number 97 car, which started off the night looking incredibly beautiful, loaded back up in the hauler. Let's hear from the pilot of that machine that was in contention up towards the front all night long. Pike is with Landon Lewis.
Kevin Harvick Incorporated driver out of this race just a few laps shy of the finish. Landon, what happened there? Take us through everything that you felt that you saw racing right in the thick of it.
I mean, we were 3 wide, coming off of 4, all racing 50,000 win, under 10 to go, and all of a sudden I'm getting left. The guy on the outside of me is just turning hard left as we're going down the straightaway, and then eventually just right rear hooks me into the fence and destroys a bunch of race cars. I mean, we're racing hard, and I didn't feel like I did anything egregious, and he decided to right rear hook me going down the straightaway. So a little out of place, and definitely taken way too far for sure, and I think that's something that needs to be done about it, and that's just unacceptable. You see it on Sundays and Saturdays, it's unacceptable, and it can get someone hurt, and we're all lucky we crawled out of race cars, but it just sucks. This freaking car was so fast. I just wish we could have solved the deal and brought home 50,000 and just had a good night, honestly. But thank you to my KHI guys for all they do, and super cool to have this 97 back out front, and we'll move on to Anderson.
A lot of discussion between you and your team about when the right time was to push. Had it been entirely in your control, do you feel like that was the moment that you had to have, or would you have liked to have waited a little bit longer to try and make a race-winning move?
I mean, the problem is if I would have waited any longer, I would have got moved and been out of contention to fight for it. So, I mean, maybe it was too early looking back at it, but, if I would have waited a lap later, I would have got moved and been out of contention to fight for it. So it sucks, and, it's hard to, you always come Monday morning quarterback it, but we just move on, go to Anderson.
Any concerns about what this says to the points battle at all, or is it just go after checkered flags like you always do?
And we just keep burying ourselves deeper and deeper, and just need to be better, and we'll move on from this and go to Anderson.
Ready for Anderson in 2 weeks, maybe more so than anybody else, is Landon Lewis.
So you can see Landon Lewis surveying the damage to that number 97 car, but we do have something else to report as well that will shake up the running order. It was confirmed earlier several minutes ago by officials over the radio, but the race leader, Caden Honeycutt, he will be put to the tail end of the field for jumping the restart on the outside line on that previous restart. So it looks like when we get going, at least how they're parked on the front straightaway, again, we revert back to timing and scoring since we didn't officially, I don't believe we officially completed that lap, so we'll go back to the order of that last start. Aside from the cars that were involved in that incident, I believe it will be Minnie Tyrell that will resume the race lead, but we have heard and confirmed that Caden Honeycutt will be put to the tail end of the field.
And what a night for Caden. We mentioned that he had to drop from the lead of what was the suspended Pro Late Model race for unapproved adjustments before they got back going later tonight. Now being kicked to the tail end of the field. He had a great drive up through the field in the Pro Late Model race to get a top 10 effort there. But with 10 laps to go in a race like this, it possibly could still happen at this rate, the way we could expect these final laps to unfold. But you are right, Blake. We just combed through all of the potential stories of the top 4 contenders before that last restart and what it would mean to each of them to win this race. Minnie Tyrell's still up there, but there are a whole new batch of contenders in this mix. One driver who was having a great night, running in the top 10 when that wreck occurred, Chad McCumbee is with Pike.
The McCumbee Elliott Racing Spirit, Chad McCumbee here. Chad, I saw you were very frustrated getting out of your car. Where did that frustration stem from?
Oh man, first of all, it's amazing to race on this stage for this amount of money, and I appreciate the car store, Hickory Motor Speedway, putting up all this. This is an exciting race, and you knew something like that was probably going to brew, but it's just frustrating, man. You can see it coming. you know, the amount of or the lack of respect that a lot of these guys have and the way they race each other. And you know, you had some not a whole lot of experience up there, and then other experienced guys that were getting frustrated with that inexperience, and it's just such a bummer to witness it, man. You know, we've got a lot of tore up race cars. You know, the good Lord was with everybody and kept everybody safe, but those kind of antics are what can get somebody hurt or worse, and certainly cost a lot of money to people. So it's just frustrating. I don't have a whole lot of positive to say, except you know, we've had a bunch of strong, you know, top contending runs. We probably would have been sitting third or fourth right there as it looks. So would have had another shot at another top 5 with this new car, and guys worked really hard to try to get it tuned in. We missed it a little bit, but man, even when we were missing it, we were still up front and racing with those guys. So I'm really proud of that, and we'll try to repair it and hopefully come back to calmer situations.
Chad McCombie out of this race just a little bit before the finish.
Thanks, Pike. And we just saw Caden Honeycutt light up the tires, escaping from what was P1 at the head of the field. We passed along the notice that he was in fact going to be sent to the rear for jumping that restart, and he has taken the Tom Musby Racing number 17 back to the pit area. Window net is down, and he is out of the car, appearing at this point as if he may not continue on in the contest with 10 laps still to go in this race, in what has been certainly a very difficult day for Honeycutt across 2 different series, 2 different race teams, in 2 of the big money events being held here at Hickory on this Sunday evening.
And just like that, I mean, that's our entire top 5, essentially, that was battling for the win of this thing, either swept up in that accident or now Honeycutt, who, again, got a launch there on the outside of that restart. And apparently was deemed to either be rolling into that, was ahead of the leader. And just a tough break. Again, so many of our contenders we've watched all night long aren't going to be there to settle this, but yet I think this points to why, if you see the cars that are going to be up front contending for this thing, Minnie Tyrell, Jared Fryer, Connor Jones, how many times have we said their names all night long for drivers who started outside of the top 10? Perhaps not in Minnie Tyrell's case. He started 9th, but Jared Fryer has raced his way up from 11th. Connor Jones started shotgun in the field 30th, and he has an opportunity to compete for $50,000. Can't understate the fact that he's even in this situation. He's got a clean nose, he's got a clean race car, well, perhaps a little bit of a scrape right there on the plastic nose cover of that 48, but he's been able to drive his way through the field. We know how difficult that is in this series, and he's got a real shot to do it. How about Doug Barnes Jr. sitting 4th in that Dale Earnhardt Sr. throwback? And again, we'll see the official running order once they get rolling here. And even Claremont, North Carolina's Landon Huffman right now sitting in 5th. He's got a shot at this one as well.
Well, race fans, if you like what you see, here's what we got coming up for the remainder of the Cars Tour season across the late model stock and pro platform. Anderson Motor Speedway, new stop for the Tour, at least in quite some time. August 16th, 2 weeks from now. And then on Labor Day weekend, what's become a tradition, kind of butted up with the Southern 500 at Darlington, a stone's throw away. August 29th, that's a Friday night, the Cookout 225 at Florence Motor Speedway. The annual stop at the beautiful South Boston Speedway, September 13th. Tri-County for the penultimate race on October 4th, and we'll settle it at North Wilkesboro Speedway October 18th. If you can't make it out to the Speedway, you can watch all the action live on FloRacing.com. Let's get an update on what will be the unofficial race leader, Minnie Tyrell from the pit area. Here's Pike.
I've got Minnie's crew chief Brandon Butler with me. And Brandon, a bit of a mental shift that's come really quickly here. All of a sudden, you find yourselves in the race lead. How do you feel like the race has gone so far, and how have you tried to attack these 125 laps in the 81 car?
Well, I tell you, shout out to Minnie Tyrell. He's done a great job all night, saving our race car, saving tires. This whole team, we worked really hard. Everybody's had a long weekend, all the teams here. Thank the Car Store for getting this show in, all the fans for staying. Hopefully these last 10 laps are going to be exciting. Hopefully not as exciting as that last bit. I hate seeing any of these guys get tore up, but Minnie's doing a great job. You know, at Forrest Reynolds Chassis and Billy Banks Race Engine and all our sponsors, Victoria Swimwear, BDL Motorsports, Jesus is Lord, Coleman Rector, all those guys for helping us. We're excited. We got a shot at it, but I told Minnie I want to race everybody respectfully. I don't want to race like some of these other guys seem to want to here lately. I want to race respectfully. Hopefully we can pull it off. If not, I hope they race us respectfully too.
Any other messages? I know you've been very active with many on the radio all race. I know that cleanliness has been a big theme, not just with your team, but throughout the field. But anything else you've told them lately?
Nah, just tell him keep doing what he's doing. I mean, kid's done a phenomenal job this year. Somebody watching this really needs to give this kid a chance. Great spokesperson and a great race car driver. Really proud of him and proud to be associated with him.
He's methodically picked his way through this field, and we talked to him earlier. He talked about how big this $50,000 would be for him to just complete out this season. We know how emotional it was for him to win at Dominion Raceway in the Minis Mission 125. This could be absolutely massive for Minnie Tyrell if he can hang on in these final few laps and park that car and cook out victory lane. $50,000, Richard.
And he's certainly proven to be someone who could withstand pressure. You talked about the win at Dominion Raceway, a race in which he has so much heavy involvement in terms of hosting several families that have been impacted with young children who are battling through illness. Now he finds himself out in front of this field right now. Now, Caden Honeycutt did go back to the pit area after being told he was being black flagged for jumping the restart. We're going to go back and take a look at that restart as it unfolded with Honeycutt on the outside, McKee on the inside.
See, they're rolling towards the iRacing restart zone. And there's a couple of elements to this. One is maintaining pace speed that the leader is responsible for, being the first to enter the zone, and then being the first to launch. All three of those things have to come together for a clean restart. And at least from what I am seeing right there by the video that we were just shown, it looks like that 17, the nose of that 17 car is a little bit ahead of Tristan McKee as they get close to and they enter the iRacing restart zone.
Yeah, it should be noted that not every track we go to where there is a zone or a box painted on the racetrack, not every track is going to correlate directly with the iRacing restart zone, but that speed shot that we had did show that the white painted lines in turn number 4 do in fact line up with that iRacing restart zone, and it appears that just as the two noses of the front row cars hit that zone, the 17 seemed to be the first to fire on the outside, and it was up to McKee to choose where in that zone he wanted to go. Let's look at it again. There's that line, and it appears as though at that point, it's still McKee's option as to when he wants to go, and Honeycutt's already about a quarter of a car length forward at that point. And I think that speed shot will confirm that the iRacing restart zone is in fact that entire duration of that box where they have painted on turn number 4.
Well, again, and one thing that is different for that leader that's on the outside with the radius of that corner, there's more space for that second car on the outside to be able to try to make a move or I don't want to say roll into the start, but they're taking a wider radius with what the inside car has. So they have the opportunity to try and take that, but you could definitely see it right there, that launch point for the 17. That nose was just a little further forward than what the 7 was as they entered that zone. It looks like they launched together, but Honeycutt, again, was the leader there.
Yeah, definitely. I completely understand the frustrations of Caden there in that circumstance, especially with how the Pro Late Model race started for him there. Tremendous heartbreak for a very talented driver who will shift his focus to his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series duties coming up at Watkins Glen in the coming days. Cleanup is close to wrapping up down in turn number 1. They've got the tire barrier back assembled. Now they'll work on the Speedy Dry and Fluid in turn number 1 with still 10 laps to settle the Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing at Hickory Motor Speedway. We'll come back for the final 10 laps with $50K on the line.
Welcome back to coverage of the Throwback Classic for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear on FloRacing here at Hickory Motor Speedway. Over the break, we tried to get the opportunity to chat with Tristan McKee, but as you might have just seen here a few moments ago, I talked to team owner Matt Piercy. He told me we're going to put Tristan back in the car. We think the damage is primarily cosmetic. We think we can go out, we can get some points, we can continue to contribute both towards the owners and the drivers' championship. So as we were trying to get Tristan, they said we're going to put belts on him and get him strapped in. You can see them making sure all the belts are tight, getting the Hans device checked up, and soon they're going to put the wheel out, and they're going to try and get Tristan McKee back out on the racetrack, get this Matt Piercy Racing Gamebridge number 7 Chevrolet to finish off this Throwback Classic under green.
Thanks, Pike. And the driver who started on the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole led most of the way up until that late race contact and restart, which ended up in a spectacular wreck down in turn number 1 that is in the final stages of being cleaned up. May be able to get back out there. And who knows, Blake, with 10 to go, his chances to get a top 10 may still be alive after all.
You never know with how this race may play out. The other thing that, again, is going to remain a theme in here, and unfortunately, you know, Landon Lewis alluded to it in this interview, is another opportunity that has gone by the wayside for him to try and make up a lot of ground in this championship fight. And again, just like at Caraway a couple of weeks ago, had a primary opportunity yet again to do that tonight with the struggles that Connor Hall has had here tonight. And again, uncharacteristic from what we've seen out of this junior motorsports team and the number 88 to have a night like this where they seem to struggle a little bit. But right now, that perseverance, that persistence, despite the fact they may not have the car they want to keep the nose clean, it's paying off right now. And again, he could lead tonight in somehow a pretty decent points situation.
Well, 2 cars that are up in the top 10 belong to one individual team and organization. That car owner, defending championship-winning car owner with Brendan Queen, is with Pike.
It's been a weekend for Lee Pulliam Performance. As you said, both cars in the top 10 now. Brendan Queen was on site last night before we got the rain in. Lee Pulliam now here with us. And Lee, a been a really methodical race for both Doug and Laney. What's been the most impressive scene you've seen out of your drivers tonight?
Well, you know, I think both of them have stayed, you know, in the battle all night long. We got a little damage on the 03 early and knocked the toe off, and really kind of have had a tough night ever since that with her. And Doug, you know, we just need a little bit of forward drive. But they're both going to give it all they got right here and try to put on a show for the fans. So.
Is there anything particular to the game plan for both of them? Is it just go, 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 given how tight we are?
Everybody's going to be going, that's for sure.
How do you manage it, and how do you try and coach them as best you can in this situation, especially with your experience?
Well, I mean, you know, they both got to make smart decisions, right? You can't wad up a bunch of race cars like they did and get in turn 1. So hopefully both of them use their head here. But I know it's going to be a lot of rubbing and beating and banging right here for 50,000. But I feel like we got to stay on them and just keep them hungry, but try to make them make smart decisions too.
Words from a man who has done it all behind the wheel, trying to coach 2 drivers to get it done for his team. Lee Pulliam going to go back up to the top of his hauler and see if he can't get Doug Barnes Jr. and Lady Bice to the front.
So we had red flag conditions for the last 20 some odd minutes. That red flag has finally been lifted. As you hear the cars come back to life, they go back under yellow conditions, which allows these cars to receive some work that has been slightly going on. We also heard a call from the race officials that was deemed out over the radio that there would be a penalty levied for early work under that caution, or should I say red flag condition. It's actually, I believe, for that number 12 that is right there. 3 laps, we're hearing maybe the penalty for Trevor O'Ward. We'll get an update and make sure that's official before we tell you.
Now that we're back under the caution, we see Minnie Tyrell, who is scored as the race leader, with Jared Fryer behind him. But I want to talk a little bit more about Connor Jones in that 48 car. Connor is a 3-time Cars Tour winner. Twice it happened at Tri-County, and once before at North Wilkesboro Speedway. 2 of those wins came in 2024. And it was a great run to end the season with back-to-back wins at Tri-County and North Wilkesboro, respectively. He's never started on the front row to win one of those races. In fact, twice he started 5th. The furthest back he ever started to win one of those 3 races was 7th at Tri-County for his first career win back in 2022. Connor Jones started shotgun on the field, 30th, despite him being 10th in the championship points and driver standings coming into this race. He wasn't eligible to fall back on a provisional, had to race his way into a last chance race, had Parker Eatman about a half a car length off his back bumper in the final corner, and he held on just to make the show. He's been able to keep the car relatively clean, and he's going to have a shot to play a factor in this race and come from the furthest back that anybody ever has to win a Cars Tour event. And again, the last driver to start outside of the top 10 or the furthest back to win a Cars Tour race at Hickory was Deke McCaskill. It was 14th. Connor Jones is about to double that metric if he could pass 2 more cars and hold on for 10 more laps.
Setting records and driving through the field, I don't know. Feels pretty Jimmy Johnson-esque to me, if I say so myself. Again, a wonderful throwback down to the details. A lot of these teams and drivers, when you walk up close, you can see how much effort they have put into the wraps of these race cars and the metallic look and the blue of that 2012 Jimmy Johnson throwback. I mean, that's about as detail-oriented as it gets. So nice job done there, and we'll see if the throwbacks can be represented. No throwbacks in row 1, but how about row 2? Full of them. With Connor Jones and Doug Barnes Jr. in that Dale Earnhardt Sr. throwback. And how about, this just seems to happen time and time again. We go through these races, and even Huffman, he had a great qualifying effort tonight, but just somehow, some way, Landon Huffman has made a season of just hanging around and finding a way to be there at the end. Currently sits 6th in the championship standings, has 2 top 5s and 4 top 10s on nights where maybe that car wasn't necessarily good enough to finish there, but yet just continues to find a way to be there.
And we've solemned through some of the storylines across some of the front starters. Minnie Tyrell not knowing what the rest of his season looks like out front. Jared Fryer, former champion, in his first multi-year season with the Tour, running in 2nd spot. Connor Jones from the back row trying to win this race. Doug Barnes Jr., we alluded to this earlier after we heard from him during the rain delay. His racing career was on a bit of a hiatus at one point in 2024. His goal was to run this race and this series last year, but a partner backed out relatively late, forcing him to regroup. He paired up with Lee Pulliam, and he is the highest running LPP car in the field right now in that number 3. Landon Huffman in his backyard, a place he calls home, throwing it back to his father in that 39 machine. Both former champions here. He won a big Cars Tour event at Tri-County that paid an awful lot of money a couple of years ago. He seems to be really good in these big money races. He's going to try to do so here, right now running in 5th. And how about Lainey Bice to start 2025 on the Pro Late Model side? Jade Avedisian made history by being the first woman to win a Cars Tour sanctioned race. Lainey Bice has already started to rack up records and results of her own, with her performances being the highest running woman driver at certain racetracks and venues that we visit. She's proven the pace, she has the talent. Tonight, maybe, should the seas part ways and things fall their way, she become the first woman to win a Cars Tour Late Model Stock Premier event on the biggest stage the series and Tour has ever seen.
And choosing right behind her, Caden Quapple has a shot at this one. Again, he's rebounded. And we talk about the battle in the championship. Cade Brown sitting in 3rd right now, just behind Caden Quapple. What an opportunity to try to make up some points for that driver piloting a number 19, a Paul Richmond throwback here tonight at Hickory. This is the result of the choose. Minnie Tyrell to the bottom. Connor Jones, who started on the outside of row 15 to begin this race. He had to fight and claw through a last chance qualifier to make the show. Can he get it done in historic fashion? Only 2 times in the history of the series have we had to settle it through a last chance qualifier, and yet here he is with an opportunity for the biggest payday of his racing life, $50,000 on the line here in the Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing. New look to the front of the field, but the biggest stakes in pavement late model racing history are on the line. Through the iRacing restart zone, Minnie Tyrell, Connor Jones lead us back to green for the final 10 laps at Hickory.
Great launch for Tyrell. He's clear to lead, but sideways off of turn 2 with Fryer now peeking the nose down low to get back to second with Barnes running wide there. Second car to the outside into 3. Tyrell to the top spot with Fryer back to second.
Landon Huffman also trying to wrestle away that 4th position from Doug Barnes. Jones slides off the corner. Jared Fryer now sets his sights on the number 81. Now Landon Huffman starting to come to life. Connor Jones slipping up here late in the going, and Landon Huffman trying to take the 3rd spot away from the Jimmy Johnson Throwback.
Those two side by side, almost rubbed tires on the exit of turn number 2 with Doug Barnes lurking. Caden Quapple trying to get up to the top 5 for the first time tonight. Jones by half a car length holds 3rd. Fryer trying to break free. Tyrell's got 0.3 of a second while the battle for 3rd rages on.
Landon Huffman and Connor Jones both, they want to finish this battle quickly because it is starting to heat up.
Oh, trouble, turn 4. Ronnie Bassett Jr. spins and gets tagged by Brody Monahan, who had nowhere to go.
And Jake Bowman comes to a stop, angled his car towards the entry of pit road to get that car stopped, and poor Ronnie Bassett Jr., ton of damage to his Ronnie Bassett Sr. Throwback. And Brody Monahan, who has been the innocent bystander in several incidents tonight, he's had to fend off a lot with that Steve Park Throwback. There you can see the damage to Ronnie Bassett Jr.'s number 44.
It's going to be caution number 6 for the late model stock cars, and it comes with 7 laps to go, collecting 3 of our 29 throwback entries across both divisions of competition here on the weekend. Some pretty bad body damage remains on Ronnie Bassett Jr.'s car after his involvement in what was not his first tangle of the night for our defending winner. Let's see what happened. Right side of your picture. Looks as though he may have been racing with Graham Holler in the 25. Connor Hall, the points leader, was able to squeeze by. And as you said, Blake, Brody Monahan with nowhere to go except right into the right rear tire of the stationary 44. And a good job by Jake Bowman to not add insult to injury after he had a mechanical issue while running in the top 10 earlier, but the team has not given up the ghost. He remains on track.
In those last couple of laps, Jared Fryer was running down Minnie Tyrell. Fryer had a little bit of a battle that he had to deal with, but at least in those couple of laps, again, firing off on cool tires for a lot of these drivers. But that 14 car has just been so great all night long. And I think if he gets the front row, and at this juncture of the race, I think winners choose the front row. It is going to be interesting to see how they get down into 1. If Jared can stay alongside Minnie Tyrell and just be there off at 2, I think he's got a shot.
And Blake, you called it as we hit the choose. Contrary to the last restart where Jared Fryer tucked in behind the rear spoiler of that 81 car, you said winners choose the front row. That's what he did right now, and Connor Jones is going to line up inside of row 2. Landon Huffman top side of that second row into 39.
The 9th, 11th, and 30th place starters right now. Top 3 in Hickory. Can you believe it? Again, I cannot overstate how impressive Connor Jones has been tonight. You know, we talked to so many drivers pre-race, Eric, and qualifying is a huge focus of all of them because they talk about how important track position is, how close everybody is, how competitive this series is, how the speed across this field has continued to narrow throughout the years. But even if they don't have a good mock qualifying run, they always say, well, man, we got a really good race car, but Connor Jones has meant every single word of it tonight. 7 laps to settle. The Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing. $50,000 on the line for Minnie Tyrell, Jared Fryer, or somebody else. Through the iRacing restart zone, back underway at Hickory, and a great launch on the inside for Connor Jones. Jared Fryer trying to stay alongside the 81 out of turn 2, but can't do it.
And just like the last restart, Tyrell is going to cement the lead off the second corner. Here's Jones to the inside of Fryer. He gets checked up a little bit off 4. Fryer rockets to the outside to get sole possession of second back in his hands and reel in Tyrell as they'll be coming to 5 to go next time by at the line.
Oh, and Jared Fryer, you can see how to correct that car off at turn number 2, but now sets its sights on the back bumper of the number 81 of Minnie Tyrell. 5 laps to go is Minnie Tyrell trying to drive away for the biggest payday of his life on the line right now.
It took Jared Fryer a couple of laps to get that car going on the last restart as the 3 of Doug Barnes Jr. door bangs the 8 car of Kate Aquapel. They touch again with Kate Brown in the 19 trying to look 3 wide to the bottom. This all for 5th.
How about Deke McCaskill in that 08? He's also hanging around as we see the car slow and off the pace. It is the 12 of Trevor Ward, also Tristan McKee there on the bottom trying to work his way around the apron. Landon Lewis is up the road as well. Coming around this time, 2 laps to go. A car length separates your top 2.
Fryer is digging, 2 to go, and all of the fans who have stuck it out here at Hickory Motor Speedway and watching along on Flow are about to see what is Jared Fryer willing to do for $50,000 as Tyrell takes him to the white flag.
2 old school late model racers settling it out here at Hickory with 1 lap left to go. Off of turn number 2, the biggest payday in pavement late model racing history is gonna go to Virginia's Minnie Tyrell. He is $50,000 richer and wins the Throwback Classic.
And trouble off of turn 4 on the final lap as Mason Diaz got turned around with Sam Butler in the Nelson Motorsports 2 car. But Minnie Tyrell, after saying that his win at Dominion at his own race was the biggest night of his life, this one tonight may help prolong his impressive and unbelievable career and season.
This team is one of the good ones. This family fights to stay in this series as much as anybody, and they do it the right way. As Chaplain Joe would have said in our pre-race yesterday, Minnie Tyrell, what an impressive young man he is, both as a race car driver and as in person. I know in our pit walk with Rob Blount yesterday, he was talking about the help that he needs to get this program going. A terrific young man to represent any partner that you would want to partner with him. But the support that he is going to get tonight is going to go quite a distance. $50,000 for Minnie Tyrell, who has come in his own, a longtime Cars Tour competitor. He's made over 80 starts in this series. It's hard to imagine that he's a veteran at this point. But what an impressive run it has been here in 2024 and now 2025. He's been so proud of the speed that this car has had, and has been turning it into race wins the second half of the season.
3rd win of 2025, and that doesn't necessarily count the ones that got away. Top 10 start at the opener, started on the pole at every lap at Wake County, and then had a great run at Cordele, finishing runner-up there, was involved in a crash at Orange County. And think back to just our last late model stock race where he was battling for the lead with Landon Lewis when they tangled late. He had a tremendous effort holding off 2-time winner and former champion Jared Fryer, as Cookout Victory Lane is about to be an electric place. Congratulations coming from Connor Jones. Let's go down to Cookout Victory Lane to James Pike.
You and Blake have touched on this story multiple times about how Minnie Tyrell came on our broadcast earlier and said he didn't know what the rest of his year looked like. This is the kind of win that might not just change the season, it might change a career, it might change a lifetime, who knows, but this is the biggest payday Minnie Tyrell has ever seen in any race he has ever won, as so many people from the garage come in to congratulate him. Minnie getting the helmet and the balaclava off, getting the radios out of his ears. Who's Your Towel coming in from Carson Elledge and some of the champagne, as he is going to have a moment to collect his thoughts and then come out and celebrate what may well be one of the biggest races he's ever won. And this includes how emotionally significant Dominion was for him when he won. This is big in a different way. As the neckband now goes on, Minnie Tyrell's going to have the opportunity to celebrate here. They're going to get all sorts of audio hooked up, and he's looking, he's trying to figure out, are we ready? Is it time? Is it time? It is time for Minnie Tyrell to come out and celebrate $50,000 richer in the Throwback Classic at Hickory Motor Speedway. So much excitement. Here comes Brandon Butler in to give a hug and celebrate. Rest of the crew coming in as well. These two work so close, so hard together. It's such a partnership. Going over to celebrate with the rest of the team. Knocks over the check as it stands. Minnie coming in to hug the rest of his crew, coming in to hug his girlfriend, celebrating. I think there's just all sorts of disbelief beyond everything else as we come in. Mini Tyrell, what were those last few laps like, that last restart with Jared Fryer charge on you once it got going? What was going through your mind as you tried to lock down this checkered flag?
Oh, man, God, I'm so speechless right now, man. You guys have no idea how much this is going to help me and my team. And I never won this kind of money before, so this is pretty cool. But, yeah, man, that was one heck of a race, dude. Brandon kept on coaching me through the radio. You know, the 97 was getting pretty rough with the 7, and he's pretty rough with me over there, but he ended up coming down the straightaway and I guess turned him. I don't really know what happened, but and then Caden jumped the start. It would have been a really good race between us. You know, I thought he was really good too, but when we cooled down there, I was just really good after that red flag. And only thing I was fighting was just a little tight in the center. Right front was pretty worn out, but man, all the guys that raced and finished in the top 3, and then we were all kind of trading paint with each other. Everybody raced with so much respect tonight, and that was awesome. Just these guys right here. So the fact that we can race with this much money on the line and still be so respectful to each other and let the best fan win is still so cool. So, man, I'm just I can't thank my team enough. Brandon Butler, man, where's he at? Brandon, that's my buddy right there, man. This is like a second father to me, and he's...
Somebody take a chance on this kid. He's the man. You need to give him a ride. Somebody needs to come help him, give him a ride.
Oh, man, he's a man that makes me look good, and he gets this car where it needs to be for me, and, man, I just can't thank him enough. I've been with the guy for 10 years. Actually, 10 years ago on Friday, we got our first late-model stock car pole. I was 10 years old, and now I'm 20, and we're sitting in victory lane winning 50 grand at Hickory, man. I can't believe it.
I think you've been pretty candid this weekend about how there might have been a little bit more on the line for you than most of the drivers. For you, it's about just trying to make it at the end of the season. Were you maybe a little bit more motivated than some of the other drivers in this field just to get here and make this happen?
Yeah, man. I didn't think we were all that spectacular, and we qualified 9th, which was still good. I knew we had a great car just in practice with how it was driving. I knew it was going to be really good, and coming here today in the race, we fired off. It was good. I was just trying to take care of the tires. I don't know if we were quite as good as the 7 and the 97 were there towards the end, but who knows? They might have fell off a little bit, and I was just there when it counted, and it was coached along by Brandon and Hippie and Dan and Colin, all the guys at the shop that bust their tails on this thing, man, and they coached me right where I needed to be. So we just executed it perfectly right there, stayed away from the trouble, and now we're sitting in victory lane. But, man, I can't thank Coleman Rector and David Taylor enough with Jesus is Lord, allowing me to put that on the hood of the car this year. And, man, it's really shown, Jesus is Lord is, I think that, he's watching over this car, man. And I fully restored my faith as a person, too. And the Hendersons of BDL Motorsports, Victoria Swimwear for her support, Mini T's Tire and Auto, all the boys back at home, Convenience Tire and Auto, too, man. I can't wait to go home and hold this check high.
We know that Dominion was so significant for you. Especially in contrast to that, what is the significance of this?
Oh, dude, I mean, Dominion, I still feel like Dominion was almost equally as good as this one, man. It was every win that you can take in this tour and get in this tour is major. The competition is so hard, and it is so hard to win these races, man. I mean, we come here for days and days and days and just try to get better. We're spending hours and hours in the shop, multiple days in a row, just trying to find something to be that much better. And we're all here fighting for hundredths of a second and thousands. That's how tight this stuff is. So just so blessed to be here, man. I'm so blessed, and I can't wait to see where this takes me, man. I'm like Brandon said, I want to go to the next level. I got full faith that I've got the talent to do it, and if anyone wants to take a chance on me, man, I'm one phone call away. I'll be there tomorrow.
For all the years and all the races where it hasn't worked out with Mini Tyrell, this time it does. Once again, we welcome in the Global Director of Partnerships at FloRacing, Chris McKee, to present Mini Tyrell with the Throwback Classic trophy for the late model stock cars and the $50,000 check. Almost 80 cars on the property over this weekend. And at the end of it all, Eric and Blake, Mini Tyrell walks away the richest man on the property. $50,000 to his name now as the winner of the Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing.
Nobody is going to ever forget that Mini Tyrell won this race. No one is ever going to forget how this weekend unfolded. And what is not the first time we've run at Hickory, not the first time that we have run a Throwback Edition event with the Cars Tour, but the first time that we have run the Throwback Classic. And with that prize money and that purse and that level of respect by the fellow competition, like Landon Huffman coming in to offer up congratulations, says a lot about Mini, says a lot about the tour. The dedication of the officials host this series, this track, but it says an awful lot about this race. Who knows what next year may bring as we go down the pike to hear from our runner-up, Jared Fryer.
Jared Fryer comes home P2 this evening. Jared, it looked like the rear end handling went away on that final restart. Was it just one too many restarts for you? Rear tires a little bit too hot, or was it something else in the car?
Tires just didn't fire off right there that last restart. The one before that, I was really good. Had a little damage with a car earlier and knocked the toe out, so I didn't feel too confident with it. It wasn't as good as it was earlier, and it fired off there, and I felt like I caught many and was in a really good position. The caution come out, and then like I said, that last restart, tires just didn't fall off. But we had a good car, started 11th, and then kind of followed many through the front there, passed some cars. It was tough to pass, and we had a good race car, I felt like, and with all that mess on the front straightaway, things just kind of worked out. So just can't say enough about my guys behind me, Kendall, AK Performance, my mom and dad, Jimmy Moore for giving me an opportunity, GSX Rafts, John West Racing, just RNS race cars. Everybody's got a hand in this. Just can't do it without them. My spotter, Tony, he kept me calm. I was getting worried there after we had that contact there. I felt like we had a car to win and beat Minnie. And then after that contact, I just didn't feel like it was as good. So he kept me cool and done a really good job. So just excited to run second and to run that good. So come away, it was fun. Just super lucky and super thankful.
Incredibly talented is Jared Fryer. Comes away with a podium finish here at the Throwback Classic. As we turn our attention to Mike Darn Racing's Connor Jones and this Jimmy Johnson Throwback. Started just about dead last. We talked yesterday. You said you didn't love the track position, but you look at this run in a race like this with what you've done here in the Cars Tour. What do you hope that this kind of performance says about your abilities as a driver and as a person?
I really don't know. But I can tell you what, this group never quits. We started third in the last chance race, and now we're finishing third in the main. So came from 29th. I feel like it's a really good night. I knew we didn't really have that much qualifying speed, and it didn't help that I messed up a little bit in qualifying. But I knew we had a really good race car all weekend, and just hats off to Mike Darn and all these guys over here. I just can't thank them all enough for all they do. They really helped me get to where I am.
And so comes the end to a Throwback Classic that brought so many twists and turns. But at the end of it all, the running theme, I see Eric and Blake looking back on this event, two drivers with points to prove. Spencer Davis left with a sour taste in his mouth. The championship finale at North Wilkesboro last year did not go the way that he wanted it to. Came back here, got the win. That's as animated as I've ever seen him, picking up $30,000 after wheeling it on the final few laps as a Pro Late Model feature. And then Minnie Tyrell. If anything stands out to me immediately, this is now the year that we can look back and say, and we'll go into the future, this is the year that Minnie Tyrell really took a step forward. He's won races, he's been there. The luck hasn't necessarily gone his way, but now that really is a team that can come in, week out, and has found the luck and found the speed. Minnie's grown as a driver, as a person, and if nothing else, Eric and Blake, I think if there's one thing we can safely say, it's that we're probably going to see Minnie Tyrell through most of the rest of the Cars Tour season. He's got $50,000 to work with to get into the rest of the campaign, but who knows what comes next, how crazy it was. And I think also, before we go, a tremendous credit to all the staff at the Cars Tour, at Hickory Motor Speedway, everybody who worked on trying to get this track ready to go so we could get this in and make sure that everybody could race tonight and get back home and have this done and completed. Maybe not necessarily how we drew it up, but a lot of people put a lot of hard work into making sure we could go racing. Their efforts absolutely have to be commended on a wild and crazy Throwback Classic weekend.
Thanks, Pike, and I'll extend that level of gratitude to our entire FloRacing team. I think they broke the time clock with the amount of hours that our group has put in here, from our camera operators, everybody down in the truck, all the advanced planning to extend this day as far as we did. I want to let everyone know, especially everyone watching, since FloRacing was the presenting sponsor of this race and a big supporter of this event, and for the boots on the ground support and everything in between, thank you all oh so much for all that you do and for being able to bring this to the masses. As we're going to take a quick glimpse back at how this race unfolded for the late model stock cars in the Throwback Classic. And Blake, this was unbelievable.
Yeah, yes, it was, and just how this race evolved from beginning to end. This is later in the race with Caden Honeycutt and everything that transpired. Our front runners, Tristan McKee, Landon Lewis, Carson Lofton, a vicious crash into into the tire barrier. Everybody climbs out okay, but this completely shifted the complexion of the remainder of this night and who we saw battling for $50,000 at the end of the night.
Championship contender Landon Lewis on what was an off night for Connor Hall, who ended up finishing 14th at the end of the night, going to be wondering what could have been, and you could see the level of frustration there as Lewis walked off from the incident. But we weren't done there. It was called that Caden Honeycutt left early on the restart with McKee in the lap before that crash. He was penalized, resetting the whole field.
And then it was Mini Tyrell Connor Jones who fought his way from a last chance qualifying race. Jared Fryer took a good swing, but wasn't quite enough to catch Mini Tyrell, who is the richest man leaving Newton, North Carolina tonight with the big check, $50,000, as he took the VP Racing Fuels checkered flag for quite a whirl around this racetrack.
Storylines aplenty, and again, this is the first of what we hope to be many throwback classics with so much on the line. The drivers have shown us what they're willing to do, and we cannot thank you all enough for sticking with us. And I think the utmost appreciation and respect goes to the Cars Tour officials, the Hickory Motor Speedway, our FloRacing team. I had so many people, my family included, saying, there's no way you're going to get this race in tonight. And wouldn't you know, Blake, we still got 12 minutes to vote for our favorite throwback car. We got till 11:59 tonight to head on over and pick our favorite. Now that we've seen him in action, there's still time. Scan. There's $1,500 cash on the line, $500 from FloRacing. Texaco Cutstone is offering up another $1,000. There's also prizes for second and third, but a full next-gen body kit from 5-Star Race Car Bodies is on the line. You've got a little more than 10 minutes to scan that QR code, pick your favorite as teams start planning for next year's iteration of the Throwback. Blake, I had a blast with you tonight, brother.
It was absolutely fun. All of the waiting, 8 hours worth of it here this afternoon was certainly worth it. And just want to commend FloRacing again for being able to invest in this. Again, at FloRacing, we know everything that they do on the pavement world and in the dirt world, but they wanted to make this a big event. They got together with the tour. They knew that Hickory was the perfect setting for a race like this, for an old school racer to go to Cookout Victory Lane and win some life-changing money that we've never handed out in pavement late model stock car racing before. And what a thrilling event it was. Mother Nature tried, Eric, but she didn't win this weekend.
Our next event 2 weeks from now, Anderson Speedway, and what is a new stop for the tour. Drivers had to do a lot of different things to stay fresh and stay loose, including our very own Matthew Dillner trying to dance the rain away. Who knows, it very well may have worked. Thank you to all of you for watching along on what was a thrilling night of racing action, from the Pro Late Model Barn Burner, where Spencer Davis took home top honors, to the late model stock cars and Mini Tyrell and his $50,000 win. On behalf of James Pike, Blake McCandless, our entire FloRacing team, the Cars Tour and Hickory Motor Speedway, and of course our presenting sponsor, FloRacing. I'm Eric Brennan. So long from Hickory. We'll see you next time.